Hello and welcome to the Talk Show. My name is Kyle, this is Horst, and today we are following up on a previous episode by talking about gambling. Specifically, the question we are asking today is how can we fix Australia's gambling problem?
Right.
Horst.
I think we concluded at the end of our last tilt at this that it's not only the Australian people that have a gambling problem, but the Australian government.
Hmm.
Um, and it was a bit of a downer because what do you do with that? What do you do with that is the question we want to look at, I think. And the thought that occurred to me was, a few years ago, it was super cool, super sexy to be seen with a cigarette hanging out your mouth, have a hard problem, think about it, take a drag, puff out a billow of smoke. And certainly I think that these days, the idea of smoking as cool has sort of really petered off. Um, it's been a while since I looked at the data, but we've seen that there's been a drastic decrease in the amount of teens who are willing to try smoking, a drastic decrease in the amount of young adults who think that smoking is a sign of elegance or of sophistication or that it's fashionable. So the question I guess we lead with is how did we make other things which had an addictive element to them uncool? How did we create the idea in society that these weren't things that had to be tried, that you had to do to be part of the in group?
Well,
Because I think that when we
that
look
much
at
is pretty
gambling,
obvious.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean we've I mean that's just asking that question is just how do we do that? Well, for cigarettes, there were anti-smoking campaigns,
yeah,
ads on
every
TV.
cigarette is doing you damage.
Give me a second while I just fix this. There. So
Yeah,
yeah, there were anti-smoking ads on television. There were ads for cigarettes were no longer allowed on television, I believe. There were warnings
yeah, that's
on
correct.
packets.
I'm not
The
gonna lie, the photo warnings on the packaging, definitely a bit too much. I think they may have almost
they kept me away
sort
from
of
smoking though.
appealed. Yeah, but I
Like
can
I
see them
had I
sort of
had
appealing to the rebellious folks. So, oh hell yeah, that's meddlers. I'm gonna do that.
yeah, I mean you kind of got a point there. I would
Yeah,
agree
the
that that
plain
is
packaging was far better.
yeah. So the plain packaging, I mean, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying there. That being said, I think that like right now what we've got with gambling is what just gamble responsibly at the end of each ad where it's like TAB, come and bet with us, bet your money, gamble with us, sports bet. It's
Yep, yep, yep.
after all that shit, it's just like gamble responsibly.
Okay, so yeah, I think right
Like
that that is
if
that
you
is sort of a
spend
big part of it.
yeah, it's like okay. It's kind of
I
like
guess I guess what I'm getting at is that the response to a smoking epidemic, it was first of all, it was treated as a healthcare problem.
hmm,
We're not throwing you in jail for buying cigarettes. That would be ludicrous. We
yeah,
are instead giving you every opportunity to stop smoking. We have concerted advertising campaigns saying, if you or someone you love is having trouble quitting, we have these resources available to you. We have ads showing the long-term health effects of smoking. Like
hmm,
who doesn't want to be around to see their kids, at least grow up enough to make their own stupid decisions?
yeah,
Um, yeah, and
yeah. And on top of that,
and that was backed up by like call quit line.
yeah,
Like,
and
this was a national and state government response to a healthcare problem. And I
hmm,
think part of the reason the same hasn't happened with gambling is that, well, it's only money, right?
well, it's see, here's the thing. Um, so this kind of so back when I was making video games, there was a thing kind of going around back then. I kind of was very dismissive of it. I thought, nah, that won't be a thing, you know. And what it was is that game developers were being approached by pokie machine companies, because we knew how to give someone a good time, or and make them feel nice. Not like that, you perv.
No, no, really, really like that though. I spoke about the psychology of addiction, the psychology of gambling last time.
Yeah, but I
And
completely
about
forgot about
how
it then.
gambling design is about giving you a good time, right?
Yeah, but
But I
that's
sort of you've said that, and I'm just thinking I haven't seen gambling vendors approaching brothel operators, for instance.
wow. Okay,
Two
that's
ways to lose your money at once. That would be a winning
well,
combination.
at least that would actually give you a good time. Um, silver linings. So, all right, back to the actual gambling thing. So, gambling, um, yeah, they're approaching video game developers, um, and then there was this kind of crossover. We
Mm-hmm.
saw loot boxes in games, exact same principle as gambling.
Yep.
Um, only if you win, you just get an in-game item, which
Mm-hmm.
is basically like gambling, but without the winnings, really. It's virtually nothing. Um, and so quite literally, virtually and nothing. Um, so yeah, that kind of comes to mind. But the thing is, gambling. The reason why I brought that up is that gambling, much like how nicotine, affects your brain, but in a very artificial way, gambling effectively hacks your brain's natural processes with dopamine.
Yeah.
It gives you a rush. You're getting just a little bit high on dopamine every time you throw those dice. It's kind of like how
It's
in
like an
Dungeons and
extreme
Dragons you throw
version.
dice and you're just hoping for a nat 20. And then
I
when you
mean,
get the
I was
nat
going to
20,
say
it's
it's like
epic.
an extreme version of winning a really nice fountain pen for cheap on eBay. But I think that's more a very deeply personal example.
Yeah, that's a you thing. But I mean, I like
But
it's
it
kind of
feels
like
so good.
to you, but to me, it'd just be like,
But that's the
okay, nice
problem
pen.
here, isn't it? We're both describing things that produce this feeling of elation, this high that you ride,
Yes,
and you'd do anything to feel it again.
yeah.
You'd mortgage the house, you'd sell.
And see, that's where the problems start. And the thing is, it's not so much even that gambling exists. It's that like every second or third ad these days is a gambling ad. We are gambling away everything. Like it's you read some stats last time that were horrifying to me, worse than I
Yeah,
ever thought.
I still have them in front of me
Yeah,
in hard copy in case I needed to refer
yeah,
back for this because
yeah. We've only got 4 minutes left, by the way. So if there's any particular points you wanted to make,
okay, well,
let's
I
try not
mean,
to go over time.
I can make a really big point here because I think the solution is the same as what we did with cigarettes. I
Mm,
think it's that we treat addiction as a healthcare problem and we invest government funding in a campaign to expose the short and long-term damage that gambling addiction causes.
mm.
I think
That
this is
seems
sort of a
sensible.
situation where over a decade, I think it did take about a decade. Over a decade, we could
Mm,
make gambling unsexy. We could
yeah.
be like, no, no, real men only gamble away their houses in like smoky back rooms in Macau casinos playing poker. None of this
Those kinds of
poker
people
machine
have 10
kind of
houses
deal.
anyway. So, they
Yeah,
can afford
yeah,
to lose one or two.
yeah. The commoditization of gambling is only profitable because gambling is profitable as an
Yeah.
idea. And the
You know what?
commoditization of these gaming machines is designed to maximize return on investment psychologically there.
Yeah, well that's the thing. This kind of it's kind of wanting me to like I want to talk about um an upcoming question actually, which is should does the economy need restructuring? Um Spoiler alert, in part kind of. But the reason why
Spoiler
I bring
alert,
that
there's not a
up,
yes or no answer, but we're going to
well,
make
again, that's
damn
why I
sure
say
you know
kind of.
everything about it when we're done.
Well, that's why I say kind of. But the thing is with that is that, gambling, a point which I'm going to bring up there, for other things is a point that I'll make here, is that gambling does not produce anything of value.
No.
It is a parasitic industry. It is absolutely parasitic. It creates very few jobs. We're talking like an entire casino, to run the gambling. Basically, once it's constructed, once you've got the pokies there, um, you may need someone to maybe software update machines every now and then to make it
Yeah, but
even
gambling
more
used to have
addictive.
humans involved, right? This isn't the gambling industry's fault. Let's be very clear. This used to be a situation where you had croupiers running games, where you had people maintaining poker games, where you had
Yeah,
security
we'll see.
staff to make sure that people didn't do anything stupid,
Yeah, we'll see
and
that
where the
that kind
gambling
of
industry
gambling.
understood
Yeah,
that taking all of the money from the people means they can't come back. But
yeah,
a machine is so much more impersonal,
yeah. A machine doesn't care, and on
and a
top of
machine
that,
is the
like an app
primary
doesn't
way that
care.
which people gamble.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
an app is basically the same thing. The
yeah,
machine runs a gambling game. The app runs, well, 100 gambling games. Sports bet, 100 different sports, 100 different gambling games. And that is the problem, is that there is no safety switch. It's kind of like perfect example. Responsible service of alcohol certificate.
yep.
You have to have that in order to serve alcohol, among other things. And if the bartender thinks that somebody is drinking too much, they have to cut them off.
Yes, and there
With a
is in
gambling
fact
app, there's no person to pull
there
that
is a
switch.
counterpart for places that have machines installed, the RCG, the Responsible Conduct in Gaming, and one of the things
Well,
that's as
if
one of the
if
things
if
that that's set up
if
with is you're not allowed
95.
to give people free drinks while they're gambling anymore. Like you
Oh,
can
okay.
give them soda, but you can't give them free beers or anything because
Yeah,
that might be
and
incentivizing
we've
them.
just run over time, but I'll very quickly say that it's and it just left my mind. God damn it. Um,
Yeah,
something about no, I've lost it.
I
Okay.
think I think that the short form answer to this is we decide that gambling has to have a human element or it doesn't happen. We take the Skinner boxes out of it. We do not have machines doing the gambling. You are face to
Hmm.
face with people or you're not gambling.
I think that is the
Um
case, and we end gambling advertisements. It's kind of
yeah, in the same way we did for
that's the
smoking
thing.
advertisements.
Okay, I've come up with a whole other thing, but it basically makes the same point. So,
Mhm.
there was once there's this street guy was talking about it, all of like the prostitutes and drugs and everything. It was all on that street, but it was contained to that street.
Mhm.
If you went there, you went there to do that.
That sounds basically like King's Cross.
It's yeah, well, it's quarantined basically. Essentially, we need like to quarantine gambling, to a specific, place that is the casinos. And
Unfortunately, because of corruption, we already have, and those are the Star and whatever the Crown in Barangaroo, I think.
well, that's to do
We
with
are
lockout
allowing
laws, but
those
that's a
mega
whole other
properties
thing.
to monopolize gambling, and they don't
Well,
have this human element, just stacks of machines.
yeah, yeah. So basically, we need a human element in the running of gambling, and we need to end the advertisement of gambling on television and through social media.
Cool. Think Albo will go for it?
Gambling lobby is not the fifth power base of Australian politics yet, so maybe, but it'd need to be brought up in.
Something,
And you'd need
something.
to read the stats off. It'd need to be a
Write your local
journalist
member.
reading the stats off to him in an interview right then and there. They'd have to read the stats off and be like, there have been notable suggestions such as this, and this. Are you
What are
going to
you
do
planning to do
anything?
about it, Mr. Prime Minister? Hmm. No, that's no. You don't say, "Are you going to do anything?"
What
Come
are you
on,
going?
come
What are
on.
you
You did
going to
media,
do?
mate. You say, "What are you going to do?" Because you can't answer that with nothing.
All right,
But
we've
you
run over
can
time. We've
say,
run
"Are
over
you going
time.
to do anything?" and just be like, "No." It's
All right,
like, well,
all right, we've run over
okay.
time, so
I
we'll
think
we'll
we've
catch
actually
you
got a
later.
solution for that one. So we'll see you all later.
Have a good one.
Ciao.